Lately, something that I've been very curious about is the victim mentality. Wherein, let's say something bad is happening in your life right now. Like, I don't know, you're going through a rough patch. It's where you tend to blame every external event that influences your rough patch instead of blaming yourself. And so you're just pointing the finger instead of looking within. And a situation where we've all experienced this is when we're literally going through a rough patch and bad things just keep on piling on and on and on. And all you want is just for someone to recognize that you're going through a rough patch and recognize that, yeah, things kind of suck right now. But here's the caveat. No one does recognize that. And even if you do pluck up the courage to tell someone that you're going through a rough patch, more often than not, all they'll want to do is just give advice on how to get over your rough patch, instead of just sit in the mud with you and listen to how you're feeling. And so what doesn't change is the fact that you point the finger at every external event that happens. And the end result is that the rough patch is just a cycle that perpetuates on and on and on, and nothing changes as a result. In essence, it's learned helplessness. I made an episode on learned helplessness a few episodes back, and if you didn't watch that, I'm just going to give a brief overview of what it is now. What learned helplessness is when you learn to be helpless, when you learn to be like a sitting duck in your situation because you learn that any effort you make is meaningless and will not affect the situation you're in. So you resort to doing nothing about whatever situation you're in. And back in the 70s, there were these scientists who were trying to investigate into learned helplessness. They were trying to investigate whether it was something that you just picked up as you lived life, or whether it was something that we're just all born with. They found that learned helplessness was just something that you pick up. It was learned. Back when they were doing the study, it wasn't called learned helplessness. So they didn't know that it was just something you picked up. So yeah, they found that it was something that you just picked up, and this showed something. It showed that it's something that we're not born with. It showed that it's something that, that isn't hardwired into us. And so the silver lining to this study was that in the same way you learn it, you can also unlearn it. You can let go of this mentality. And it's very effortful, but it's very worth it. The reason why I'm making this episode is because the victim mentality is something that I've personally struggled with a lot. Blaming external events instead of just blaming myself. Adopting the victim role and mindset, you can probably relate, is something that it's so comforting, yet so destructive at the same time. A few years ago, I used to have this friend I played PlayStation with. Let's call this friend Guz. Guz, every time I'd play PlayStation with him, we'd play like Warzone and Rocket League and stuff. Like team games. What happened was, he wasn't the greatest at them. And my skill level at these games was just, in general, better than his. But here's the thing, right? Literally every single time he would die in Warzone, or I don't know, we'd get crapped on in Rocket League, he would blame us for why we're the fault he died, or we were the fault that the other team scored, when it was very clear that it was his fault. And playing with him, none of us really wanted to play with him because he was just like this, because he both A, took everything very seriously, and B, because he's always pointing the finger. And bear in mind, this was a few years ago. Maybe he's not like this now. I really wouldn't know. But the point I'm trying to get at here is, because he's pointing the finger so much, no one really liked it. He didn't get any better at Warzone or Rocket League or any of the games we played. He was still flipping awful at them. I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, past is the past. Point is, blaming others doesn't get you anywhere. So you might as well stop adopting the victim mentality. And that's more of a reminder to myself as well. And that's Purpose. That's episode 11. If you stayed till now, thank you. Genuinely, thank you, I mean it. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.